be right here. How long are you out now? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
How are you feeling?
Good, great.
Have you jumped on a scale at all yet? Excellent. Excellent.
Hey.
So the bottom line is pretty much Laramie and I are just going to try to, answer some questions that maybe you guys have about exercise, how we got started in exercise after surgery, especially for you guys that are new, that are just starting in. You can ask questions. How did you get started? How did you get started? Because your legs hurt, your knees hurt, your feet hurt, your back hurts. Ask those questions. Laramie's a great swimmer, and she could tell you things to do in the pool to probably take some of the stress off your joints and stuff. So, fire away. I see some contingencies.
Water aerobics is the best.
Yeah, water aerobics is really good.
Do you do water aerobics? How often?
Well, right now, 2 times a week.
Uh-huh. But truly, a lot of you guys that have been around for a while, you've heard myself and you've heard Laramie both and I talk about how important the exercise is. And it really is truly important. I remember right after surgery, I had no clue really what to do. I had no clue really what to do up until recently. But I would go to the gym and I would go walk on the treadmill for about, half an hour. That was my workout, half an hour. And then I decided I needed to graduate and use the elliptical. And that was a real eye-opening experience. I got on there. Now I'm like 3 weeks after surgery, and I'm going to take over the world. And I get on that thing. Because, you guys all remember after surgery how you had that, yee-haw, I can do anything. I got on an elliptical. I lasted maybe 10 minutes and thought I was going to die. But you know what? I didn't give up. I went back. I persevered.
11 minutes next time.
I think I made myself do 20. And I go to the gym a lot, but I don't like being in the gym a lot. I prefer to be outdoors. But it is what it is because I can't get some of that stuff outdoors that I do indoors. But, and then it started evolving into other things. It evolved into spin class. And then came Laramie. I made Laramie go to spin class with me one time. And she was probably, no one's got red on. She was as red as a fire truck. She was as red as could be. And we would go and we would do that spin class for an hour. And I'm not sure how many calories we burned, but there was puddles underneath us on the floor.
What's a spin class?
Spin class is like an aerobics class on stationary bikes, and there's an instructor, and she has you,
crank it up.
Crank up the tension to make it harder to pedal, and loosen it up to make it easier, like you're going uphill and downhill. And there's music, so it's motivating, and other people around you, so it's really fun. Just make sure you wear padded shorts because those seats are killer.
Yeah. You can even buy gel covers for the seats.
Yeah. But and you can even buy like those clip-in shoes for the pedals, or you can wear your regular tennis shoes too. And it's really good because you can go at your own pace. You can crank it as hard as you can and just kill yourself, or you can just just mildly and just ride and do what you can. But you still feel like you're doing 100%, and it's not like you're wimping out in the class because you're still on there pedaling. So it's really, really good.
And you just can't try to stop the bike on your own.
No.
Because your foot will come out and that pedal will smack you, and then you'll bleed, and that doesn't feel real good. But so we actually started out pretty much very, very much doing that.
It took her forever to convince me because I was so heavy, and I was like, there's no way I can sit on a bike, there's no way I can do this, I'm going to pass out and fall over.
And I told her I would save her.
And I mean, it took probably a couple months for her to convince me, and she finally drugged me to one, and then I was hooked. It was just like, oh, this is awesome.
We would go pay our $1 so we can reserve our bike.
Yeah, but I'm a more athletic person, so I don't have like the movements, the dancing movements for Zumba and all these other classes and stuff, and they're awesome, and oh my God, they're hard to do.
I did Zumba.
But I can't. I'll turn the wrong way and take 3 people out. I mean, So this was like an aerobics class that was more tailored to my athletic endeavors and my inability to have any kind of rhythm and dance. So it worked really well for me, and you don't have to have any kind of rhythm or coordination. You're just sitting there pedaling. So it's
they were
really
playing good music, and then then in the class they used to talk about, oh, we're going to go out on this bicycle ride. Yeah. So I agreed to go on a bicycle ride. But the issue was I didn't have a bike.
So I had a Walmart bike and
A
another
Target
Walmart bike, and so
we took off. We went with the group. We left from the East
Side
Side
Walmart,
Lancaster Walmart
out to Edwards Air Force Base
to the fitness center. Yes.
And we cried when we got there because it was such a huge accomplishment. It was like 40 miles.
Something like that. It was a lot of miles.
And I mean, we were just crying. It was a huge accomplishment, and it was awesome.
So it's the power of the buddy system.
Oh yeah.
Then Liz, okay, so you serve at Laramie, and so before, what was your incentive? Did you have somebody encouraging you to do that? You were doing it on your own?
I was truly, I needed to do something because like every single one of you was my fear of failing.
Yeah.
That I needed to go and I needed to do something because, oh my gosh, I did not want to fail at this because how many of us have done a diet? How many of us have failed? I didn't look at this as a diet. This was a lifestyle change, and I had to make that change. If I didn't feel I was going to succeed. So, but on the buddy system, it's, it's definitely, it helps you. It helps you a lot. Knowing that Saturday morning when we were going to go out and go to spin class, that she was going to be there.
Yeah.
And then
then you better not show up.
Yeah, you better not, because you would get a really nasty phone call. You should try a spin class and go at your own pace.
Yeah.
Just keep it loose, because no one says when the instructor in the spin class says, "Okay, crank it up." The crank up is your decision. How much you crank it up.
Yeah.
But the other thing, addressing what Mary said in terms of the buddy system, and then like if she was on vacation, we actually befriended other people in the class, so it's like, and we were like these little spin groupies. At the end of the class, we had to have our dollar to get our bike the next day, and sometimes we reserve our bikes a month in advance just so we could get our bikes, because back then it was really, really popular. People were just trying to get into the spin class, and we didn't want to be without a bike, and I always rode the same single bike. Then we went on a cruise, and we even signed up for spin class on the cruise.
Yes, we did.
And the rock wall.
Yes.
And we did the rock wall.
You did the rock wall like 27
like
times.
27 times.
The next day.
Yeah, but it was good. I made it to the top and rang the bell. But the bottom line is, if you can find an exercise buddy, that's going to be part of the motivation. Like, you guys will be great together, but getting an exercise buddy, someone. And you know what? When you go out there, you don't have to go big. You don't have to go big. It's baby steps, Maybe it's walking from your front door to the corner, or find something you do in the privacy of your own home. Put on some kind of oldies music and just dance and bebop around your house, And then as we both morphed and we decided we really preferred to be outside, we took to biking. And several different bikes later, at least for me, you kind of find what you want and what you want to do. And I was running. And I did 7 marathons after my surgery, full, big old get the medal marathons.
26.2 miles.
26.2.
Wow.
And the bottom line is, I had a huge group of people to work with. I would go down down to Griffith Park. I was Laramie trained with the same group with AIDS Project LA, and we would go out and do our training runs every week, and then our maintenance runs during the week. And to be honest, there were some days I did not want to strap on my tennis shoes and go out and put the shorts on when it was snowing out, but you know what? I had to run because that was my commitment. And the bottom line is when you're out there, make a commitment to yourself. You have to make a commitment to yourself. And I think that's really what's important for you.
So that's goal setting. Now, did you talk before Laramie was involved in that with you, did you tell anybody else, any family or friends, I'm going to run a marathon?
Yeah,
I'm training for a marathon.
They told me I was crazy.
You told who?
I told my husband, my kids, my husband's family, and they just looked at me like I had fallen off the face of the earth, and they weren't sure really what I was thinking. And I went out and I did 7 of them,
Wow.
And they're hard, and I'll tell you, they're hard. But the first time, actually that's not even true, not even the first time, every time, I don't know about you, but every time I finish, it's like total elation, absolute, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did it, the tears are there, I'm laughing. And then Laramie, she came down to watch me do a training run or something, and she said, I could never do that. Never. And now she's training for a half Ironman. You're doing that in July, right?
I ran a marathon and then,
Yeah. The bottom line is if you put your mind to something, you can do anything. Anything. It's baby steps. For those of you who are just starting, it truly is baby steps. Besides me, what would you say in terms of getting out there and getting started?
I would say if you don't have a buddy yet, just go to some of the classes that you have access to, whether at your gym or your church or whatever, and you hook up with people then there after going a few times. Like Liz and I went, but then we became friends with all these other people, and so then we had, the network just kind of grew. So if you don't have anyone to start with, take that first step and take that first class and be a little social and talk to people and
go out of your
and
comfort zone.
Develop that networking through doing that too.
And going outside your comfort zone is, how difficult is it for you to go outside your comfort zone right now?
Impossible.
Is it?
Very difficult.
How about anybody else?
It's true. It's like all this intimidation and fear, anxiety before you do it, and then afterwards it's like,
It wasn't that bad.
It feels so much better.
It wasn't that bad. So.
I think that they
Voice
treat you with
section.
more respect once you've lost weight.
Yeah.
When you're heavy, you're in that stereotypical fat, lazy, all
Sit on
the
the
things
couch
that
and
they
eat
think we
bonbons
are.
and you're just sweaty.
And then all of a sudden, you get attention and people respect you more. And that's really sad. It kind of really helped me see what their integrity level was.
In terms of people not recognizing you, one day, I hadn't maybe seen my mom and dad in about a month and a half or so, been busy. And I went over and I pulled into the driveway, and my dad saw me. He was outside talking to someone. He looked like, "Who are you?" And then I knocked on the door. It was locked, and I knocked on the door, and my mom opened it, and I went to walk in, and my mom saw me, and she went like, she put her hands up. I'm like, "Mom, it's me." And she goes, "Oh my gosh," It was just that real quick, she wasn't used to thinner Liz, she was used to fat Liz, and it just really, I guess in that month and a half that I hadn't seen her, there had been such a drastic transformation, What I found the fun part was, and I don't know if anybody else can say this, you'll see someone that you've known for a long time, but you haven't seen them for a while, and you walk by and you say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And they stop, and they look at you, and they look at you, and they say, "I know you, but who are you?" And then when you tell them, they're like, "Oh my gosh." And one of the first questions they ask, and I'll bet you some of you have gotten this, is, "Have you been ill?" Did anybody ever get that? Have you been sick?
Do you have cancer?
Yeah, that's the big one. Do you have cancer?
Did you do this on purpose? Yeah.
But it's, like Mary said, it's the way society interprets us as obese people. And, I don't know, I'm really careful when I'm in a situation. I worked with some people, and they were very derogatory to obese people. And it was very difficult for me to be around this person or persons, just because the way they would talk about people, "Oh, that's just some fat person," and to me that was just annoying. But when you're obese or morbidly obese, you always don't have that confidence in yourself to approach them and say, "I'm really offended by that," because your self-esteem is such that it's a little on the lower side. I mean, it's just like anything in life, but you have so many changes going on, physically and maybe personally and emotionally. It's just, it can be very overwhelming for people at times. A lot of people, I've noticed, like when they're raising kids and stuff, they've got the pressure of the family, and how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How am I, it's that typical, very typical of being the obese person and you have to take care of everything. You know, because we've had to, and we've always been the one that, you know, probably steps up and takes care of everybody, everything, and then always put ourselves last. Is it still hard to put yourself first for a while? And it's such a very hard word to say, you know, and it's not necessarily the word, it's knowing how to set limits, you know, how to set limits. And do you think by setting limits you're going to alienate people and lose friends and that kind of stuff? So with that being said, how do you convince someone, I mean, you know, I've had to come right out and tell them. How do you make them realize that? Anybody, any suggestions?
Because, you know, a lot of people have surgery and don't change their life and they end up gaining it back. During that first year, you can pretty much do anything and you're going to lose it. But after that, you've got to really, really be smart and change your lifestyle and change your habits and change your life. And if you don't, you can gain it back. It's no matter how you do it, through surgery, through diet, exercise, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, whatever, however you do it, you've got to change your life or it's not going to stick. And, you know, this way is not the easy way out. You know, Weight Watchers or whatever, you can always just stop and go back to what you were doing. That's easy. I can't stop what I'm doing because I'll get sick. If I go back to eating what I was eating, I'll get sick, I'll get unhealthy, I'll get dead sometimes, you know, from malnutrition and anemia and vitamin deficiencies and all that. I mean, this is serious stuff here, you know. There is no turning back. There's no easy way out. This is not easy, you know.
Any regrets?
No.
Never? Never? No buyer's remorse in the beginning? I don't remember.
No. The only, because like I said earlier, I'm my own worst enemy. Sometimes I have this little voice that says I should have been able to do it without the surgery.
Yeah.
You failed because you had to have the surgery.
Yeah.
And it still comes and goes sometimes, and I just have to say, no, I'm healthy, I'm strong. It doesn't matter how I got here. And I think society tells you that.
Exactly.
But if you look at the statistics, and I haven't, but just by watching people and seeing experiences and my own experiences, people are not successful on this. Because we've all lost gain, so we know that doesn't work.
I kid you not, I've lost hundreds and hundreds
Yeah,
and hundreds.
and you see all the commercials on Nutrisystem, and you see all the movie stars on Weight Watchers, and all the commercials, and all the success stories, and they're probably, you know, the 1%.
But we have to celebrate our big accomplishments as well as our little accomplishments. And the one thing I've learned recently, and it's taken me all this time, is that we do not necessarily need to be defined by the number that we have on that scale. Okay? Because, and if you think about it, you weigh yourself, oh, my BMI is this. But have I become more physically active? Have I developed more lean muscle mass and burned fat? You know? And, you know, fat doesn't weigh more than muscle, and muscle doesn't weigh more than fat. It's the bottom line is that fat takes up a whole heck of a lot more room, and you can pile on more muscle.